I think we've built a movement around the idea that we can get money out of politics, put money in pockets past Medicare for all. I think right now the question that people are asking is not where do you stand on the left-right spectrum on a series of issues that people talk about on CNN. I think the questions that people are asking is who's going to help me afford my housing? Who's going to help me afford my groceries? Who's going to make sure I can see a doctor if I get sick?
Welcome back to Square Off. Progressive Abdul Al-Sayed scored a narrow victory over moderate Congresswoman Haley Stevens in a hard-fought Michigan U.S. Senate primary on the Democratic side. That statewide win is the latest sign of the rise of progressives in the Democratic Party. So could it happen here in Arizona, or is it happening already? That's one of my three questions for Democratic State Senator Analise Ortiz of Maryville. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thank you for having me.
So during this long, hot socialist summer, are we seeing the rise of progressives here in Arizona?
Well, I think what we're really seeing is voters rejecting corporate money and foreign influence in politics. They are rejecting play-it-safe politicians. And we saw that in my district in Maryvale and Glendale, where two progressive first-time candidates who come from a working-class immigrant background, Alberto Flores and Lizbeth Escaranaga, ousted Lydia Hernandez in the primary, someone who has called herself the most conservative Democrat in the legislature. Now, we also saw Democratic Socialist Miranda Lopez win in southern Arizona.
And you were behind that ouster in your district. You helped place those folks in their seats.
They worked their tails off, but I absolutely was supporting them wholeheartedly, knocked on thousands of doors, and talked to constituents who told me they were tired of politicians who are not delivering on the things that families are really struggling with right now when it comes to affordability and the terror that ICE has inflicted upon our communities in the West Side.
So do you think in the new legislature in January there could be a progressive bloc that could make a difference?
Will be. Yes, and the polling looks really good right now for our chances of flipping the state legislature. And when that moment comes, it's going to be crucial that we have a progressive bloc who is working to deliver for working families. We're talking about popular policies here, taxing the rich, keeping people in their homes, keeping immigrant families together, guaranteeing childcare. These aren't radical ideas, and it's what voters want.
So you would be going at the tax cuts that Katie Hobbs approved?
Well, what we're looking at here is actually the billionaires who have received tax cuts, the data centers who have received tax cuts, the fact that corporations in the state of Arizona do not pay as much at all as small business owners. Those are the types of unfair tax incentives that I think we need to seriously look at, especially when we're in such a revenue crunch in this state.
All right, next question. Medical debt fits into many of those larger concerns about the broken healthcare system. Governor Katie Hobbs announced a new round of debt forgiveness, $1 billion for about 670,000 people, I think. How does it work? Where's the money coming from?
This is a partnership with a nonprofit called Undo Medical Debt. And essentially what this means is that people will receive a letter in the mail that says their medical debt has been relieved. They don't have to take any action on their part. There's no application process. It works because this nonprofit is able to purchase the debt and then relieve it for people. It's incredible. And I'm already receiving so many comments on my social media from people who've already benefited. This is the type of policy that tangibly changes people's lives, that is going to result in Democrats winning because we've proven that we are fighting for the working class.
And to be clear for folks, you can't apply for it. They just find you because they've purchased this debt.
Exactly.
At a lower price.
They will receive a letter in the mail. You can't apply for it, and you do have to meet certain income eligibility requirements to be considered.
Right. And as far as the life-changing, by my math, it's about $1,500 per person.
That's right.
So if you've got like a $60,000 bill for a gallbladder operation, you're getting somewhere.
That's right. And the amount of stress this is causing for people. I have a constituent named Hector whose wife passed away and he's left with her medical debt. He is 75 years old and now having to go back to work as a senior citizen because of this medical debt. There are so many people who are in those types of situations right now. Our seniors are really hurting. We need solutions that are going to actually help people. And this is a wonderful program that's doing just that.
All right. Third question is about Governor Hobbs' apparent choice of John Giles as her running mate. I want to put a timestamp on this conversation. It is Friday. Today is the deadline for Governor Hobbs to reveal her choice to the Secretary of State. Has to file paperwork, so it has not been confirmed in that way. I have it on pretty good evidence. It is John Giles. What do you think of John Giles, who was a Republican back in May, is now an independent, being the running mate for your Democratic governor?
Look, I was not surprised by this. I predicted it months ago. The governor has always been building a brand of bipartisanship. She has always been moderate. I think she is really focused on trying to build the coalition she feels she needs in order to beat a Trump-endorsed extremist, Andy Biggs, who has voted repeatedly to raise costs for Arizonans. And, you know, would I have liked to see a Democrat or maybe a Latino, given that Latinos are 30% of the state? Yes, of course, I would have liked to see that. But I think that really what voters are going to be looking at right now are the policies that Governor Hobbs has been able to achieve in her time. Has that delivered for Arizonans? And I think she has some real wins she can point to, like the medical debt we talked about.
Could this create some awkward moments? Because there are lots of John Giles' long history, 10 years as a mayor. Could it create some awkward moments between John Giles and Katie Hobbs?
Look, John Giles is very well respected. I think he is someone who has shown he has broken with the MAGA wing of his party or his former party. And I think that he's going to be, both of them will be focused on passing policies that are good for Arizona.
So is this, you think this is the right ticket politically?
Politically, there was a strategy here. I think that's very clear. And I think that Governor Hobbs and John Giles are going to be successful in November.
All right. Senator Analise Ortiz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. See you back here next weekend for another round of Square Off.